AZ Global presents this program in color.
In this edition of Go Northwest, we're heading east from Portland, over the mountains and through the woods to Bend, Oregon, where the good life can be found off the trail or on it, and where a diverse history can rewrite a vibrant present. Welcome to Bend, the crossroads of Central Oregon. Hello, thanks for joining us today. Our trip to Bend has been a fantastic journey. I think you could go to Bend again and again and never do the same thing twice. While we were there, we met an Oregonian whose influence has been felt throughout the state, and that's why we're here at the Jeld-Wen Stadium. But we'll get to that later. For now, Ramblers, let's get rambling. Heading east from Portland, Highway 26 takes us over the Cascades down through the Warm Springs Reservation. From there, it's a scenic drive south to Bend, with the Three Sisters always watching over us as we go.
Spent a lot of years traveling. There's good folks in every single town. Spent a lot of years traveling. There's good folks in every single town. My door's always open, unless you don't mean me no good.
Bend is the largest city in Central Oregon and is often referred to as the metropolis of the Cascades. During the pioneers' migration west, Bend was used as the last provider of food and supplies before beginning the treacherous pass through the mountains. Our first stop today is the Oxford Hotel in Bend's beautiful downtown shopping district, our home base for exploring everything this jewel of a city has to offer.
When you stay at a hotel, you know you're going to get a bed, you know you're going to get a pillow. The people and the service that you receive is really what makes a difference, and that's really what we strive for. These rooms, like all our rooms, really are unique in the sense that we've tried to infuse as much sustainability as we were able to. Little touches that you may not see on the surface, but that we felt was really important to do. We have cotton bamboo towels. All of our duvets and pillows are made of recycled pop bottles.
Knowing some history of the people and places that we visit always enriches the experience. So with that in mind, a stop at the High Desert Museum is next on our agenda.
My name is Dana Whitelaw. I'm the Vice President of Programs at the High Desert Museum. The museum is a place to be inspired about the biological and the cultural history that we see in the High Desert region.
My name is Jason Hogstead, and today I am dressed as and standing in a fur trading encampment. Fur traders actually in the 1820s worked for the Hudson's Bay Company. It would not be uncommon for the Hudson's Bay Company to employ Hawaiian laborers. In fact, the Eastern Oregon River, the Owyhee River, and the Owyhee Mountains were named after the Hawaiian laborers who worked in the fur trade.
Hi, my name is Linda Evans, and you are at a recreated 1904 Homestead Ranch. In 1904, Bend has only about 400 people. No railroad down here in the 19th century. Albeit at the turn of the 19th century, it's going to become Bend's Mecca.
Our permanent exhibit is a wonderful story of how Native cultures have changed through time and adapted to modern day cultures. So the artifacts range from traditional pieces, war bonnets, headdresses, war shirts, to horse regalia, jewelry, and even things that were more utilitarian. At our core, the High Desert Museum is an educational institution, so our visitors leave educated to make informed decisions about the natural and cultural resources of the High Desert region, and to leave with that information to be stewards of these resources into the future.
The mountainous landscape of the Cascades, once an incredible challenge to Oregon's early settlers, has now become a recreational paradise. And as we'll see at our next stop, it can still be a challenge, but a bit more fun than it used to be.
If you were to ask me what is unique about Oregon and Oregonians in general, it is, I think, that adventuresome spirit. My name is Dave Nissen. I'm with Wanderlust Tours here in Bend. Wanderlust is a nature-based outdoor tour company that what we really love to do is get people into the natural world in order to share some of the nuances that might not be readily seen by a casual passersby eye.
Can everybody hear me like this? Almost? Okay, we'll stick to this. I'm just gonna say hi, I'm James. Bend in Central Oregon, it is first and foremost a playground. That is what it is today.
We have a Shoes, Brews, and Views where we go out and shoe through stunning old-growth forest. Woo! And doing a little bit of sipping from some of our locally crafted brews.
Some more Pine Marten tracks right over here. So we've got both front paws that are one on top of the other, landing, and they bound and bound and bound from tree well to tree well. And under the ice and snow, the subnivean world, there are tunnels, rodent superhighways under our feet. So the fungus provides the outer shell, the home for the algae to populate. It's a symbiosis between fungus and algae or cyanobacteria.
Very good.
Fully grown mountain hemlock cone, fully grown lodgepole pine. Well, crew, welcome. Welcome to the Outdoor Mountain Hemlock Bar. We've got root beer and hot cocoa for anyone who would not like to partake in some wonderful Cascade Lakes Brewing Company locally crafted microbrewed beer. Thank you. That's really what I'm trying to do. I have to carry all this. Well, crew, got a special opportunity today to make an Oregon snow cone. A little bit of fresh Cascade Mountain Oregon snow, a little bit of fresh beer, and of course someone to enjoy it.
Yum!
What do you think?
Super good.
Right.
Super good.
Snowshoeing is a fabulous way to experience the forest, the solitude of the forest, using your different senses, that type of thing, to experience its grandeur.
Every day, hundreds of visitors weave through the forests and foothills, the mountains and valleys to make up this beautiful patch of Oregon State, evidenced by boot prints, snowshoe trails, cross-country ski tracks, and sometimes even paw prints.
My dad started Oregon Trail of Dreams when I was about 8 years old, and we do sled dog rides 6 days a week. These dogs are called Alaskan Huskies, and that's all of them. That's more of a type than a breed. Our breed standard is a little different than most people. We go for, do they like to run? Do they love to run some more? People, when they hear sled dogs or huskies, they expect Siberian huskies. But if you want to be a competitive sled dog racer, this is the type of dog you have. Brute!
Meet Rachel Sidoris, dog musher and cross-country runner, born and raised in Bend, and the first legally blind person to complete the Iditarod Trail sled dog race. The Iditarod race in Alaska was first run in 1973. The race was created to honor the state's indigenous cultures and history. The trail and the race covers a span of 1,049 miles from Anchorage to Nome, running through a harsh landscape of tundra, across frozen rivers, and over hills and mountain passes.
I was a baby the first time I went for a sled dog ride. But my dad trained a couple Iditarod teams back in the 80s, and he just took me with him on all his training runs. I was always bugging him to let me race, let me race, let me race. And when I was 11 years old, he finally caved and let me run my first junior race. And as soon as I did that, it was like, okay, now let me run the Iditarod.
Rachel was born with a very rare congenital disorder. She was born with very limited vision. In the beginning, I was constantly worried, you know, saying, oh no, you can't do that, you can't do that. But then, you know, I turned my back and she'd be doing what I thought she couldn't do. When she told me she was going to run the Iditarod, I thought, oh, isn't that sweet? Like all little sled dog kids. But I realized that I could facilitate as a parent these wonderful fantasies and dreams she had. You can send your kid to Harvard or to the Iditarod. And we chose the Iditarod.
Eventually, Rachel would choose to run the Iditarod 4 times, receiving her first finisher's belt buckle in 2006 at the age of 21.
I still don't take it off very much. The Iditarod, to sum it up really well in the words of my racing partner, it's something else. To compensate for my vision, first of all, I always showed up in the best shape of my life. I also ran with somebody else. He ran his own team, I ran mine. We were allowed to carry 2-way radios. One time we got separated. It was on the Bering Sea. I kind of dozed off and went, oh dear, I'm not on the trail. It was the middle of the night, so I could see lights 30 miles ahead of me. So I just pointed my leaders in the direction of the lights of the village and said, okay, don't do anything stupid.
After 12 days, 10 hours, and 42 minutes on the trail, Rachel crossed the finish line, making history as the first legally blind athlete to finish the Iditarod and fulfilling the dreams of a small girl balanced on the runners of her father's sled.
This is just home. This is where my family is. This is where I've always been. I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. I was born into this sport. And yes, it's hard work. It can be stressful in times, very labor intensive, but it's labor of love.
This stadium has been the site of quite a bit of Oregon history. Recently, it went through a major renovation and was renamed Jaldwin Field and is now home to the Portland Timbers, a professional soccer team. And that's where our trip to Bend comes into the story, because the man responsible for bringing soccer back to Portland resides in Bend, and the Jazz Club at the Oxford Hotel is the site of his latest import to Oregon.
The hotel has a loaner program, and one of the most unique items that we do lend out are these beautiful Breedlove guitars. They're made here in Bend, handcrafted, and that certainly is something that gets the most attention.
I've never stayed in a hotel where they've given me a guitar before. Never seen such a thing. Seems like it should be a requirement. My name is Dan Ballmer, and I'm from Portland. Yeah, I'm Portland-based. Mostly I play jazz, but I do anything people want me to do.
Bringing guitars to a guest room may be an everyday occurrence at the Oxford, but when that guest just happens to be a well-known jazz guitarist, then it's easy to assume that something special is about to happen.
Hi, I'm Marshall Glickman, a native Oregonian, born in Portland, and this is my son, Laz Glickman, a heck of a good downhill skier, a decent baseball player, and a very good jazz pianist.
Oh, it's just a fourth pattern, so like this one I like too.
With his young son's growing talent in mind, Marshall struck upon an idea while spending an evening with his wife in downtown Bend.
Well, it's just was born out of two things. One, my wife and I were bored. We walked out of a beautiful dinner one night and it was 8:30 and we thought it was too early to go home. I thought maybe there was something we could do to entertain ourselves, I guess. And the second reason was Laz, you know.
And so, Jazz at the Oxford was born, teaming with the Oxford Hotel. Marshall developed a space for jazz, in part to continue an education for Laz begun years earlier.
So I was 5, and I went to a jazz club in Boston. My dad says, oh, I know who that guy is. Turns out it's Al Foster. He's one of the greatest jazz drummers ever. So I go up to Al Foster at the next break and I go, man, I want to play drums like you. That's so cool. And he's like, well, if you want to play drums, you have to play piano first. And I said, oh, okay. And I'll play piano first.
And so that's what we've tried to create here, is that atmosphere, that feeling of being in a jazz club, to be able to meet more jazz musicians. Yeah, I live vicariously through my son. Are you kidding? He has every talent I don't have.
What Marshall may lack in musical talent, he makes up for by recognizing talent of all kinds in others and showcasing it for his fellow Oregonians.
You know, my father was the founder of the Trailblazers. I started working with the Trailblazers in '83, and ultimately I was promoted to president. I was the person who orchestrated the development of the Rose Quarter and the Rose Garden in Portland. Did that and then left the Trailblazers in '95, and I founded another company that brought the Portland Timbers back to Portland, and we renovated what was then PG Park and is now Geldwin Field, home of the Major League Soccer Timbers.
So that's it. Let's hear some jazz. Let's give a big Bend, Oregon welcome to Karin Allison.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. A pleasure to be here.
To me, Central Oregon represents being an Oregonian. It's about being outdoors, but also having city things to do, and I think that's what makes Oregon really special.
Thank you.
You would think that after a day of snowshoeing and dog sledding, followed by evening of jazz that took us well into the night, we'd be ready to hit the recycled pop bottle sheets back in the room. But no, the stars were calling, and we had an answer.
Snowshoeing takes the form of both daytime trips as well as nighttime trips. The nighttime trips are spectacular because most people, particularly in the wintertime, don't necessarily think about getting outdoors at night. And to go out underneath the light of the stars when the heavens are just gloriously filled with twinkling lights, or under the spectacular beam of that orb that we call the moon, it's an amazing experience to be on snowshoes in the forest at night. One of the nighttime trips that we do at Wanderlust is called our Bonfire on the Snow trip. It is one of those spectacular nighttime experiences with the added benefit of shoeing to a hand-carved amphitheater in the midst of the forest where a crackling bonfire awaits our guests.
Cool, you guys all feeling good? We'll continue our journey, kind of heading a little further into the eastland. Six brightest stars that you'll see in the winter sky make up the winter hexagon. If you know who they are and where they are, you also know 6 constellations.
We'll go out and move 8,000 pounds of snow to dig an amphitheater. We're like Michelangelo out there, you know, carving and sculpting.
There you go, my friend. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And all of that because we want to provide our guests, our clients, something that is extraordinary. The mode of transport that you guys came in on tonight was invented by Native American people. Native peoples, out of necessity, looked at animals. And if you've ever had the opportunity to look at an animal's foot, like a bobcat, you know, it's not that big of an animal, but its foot is enormous. Native peoples looked at the bobcat's feet and they said, man, that's what we need. We just need bigger feet. The oldest known snowshoe that we've ever found is 6,000 years of age.
Thanks again for joining us. It's been great having you along with our trip to Bend. Before we part ways, I want to leave you with one more song from Karin Allison at the Oxford. Remember, do not follow where the path may lead. Instead, go to where there is no path and leave a trail. See you soon.
A felicidade do povo parece a grande ilusão do carnaval. A gente trabalha o ano inteiro por um momento de sonho pra fazer a fantasia de rei, ou de pirata ou jardineira, pra tudo se acabar na quarta-feira. Happiness must end, but sadness goes on and on. Happiness is like one dewdrop on a flower that sparkles for a moment in the dawn, and then falls like a teardrop from the eyes of a young girl who cries to realize her lover's gone. Poor folks work all year to make one dream come true, to share a night of joy at Carnival.
For more information about Go Northwest or any of the stories you've seen, go to www.gonw.tv or visit us on Facebook.